flux capacitor. No, Marty, what we need is Andrew Yang running the IRS. Bezos. Let's just say that's an ace-all play when the time is right.
Oh, well, I think we'll need to...
Shut up, Marilyn! The Mark Roman Empire. Also, a podcast. This week's episode, Natasha Pearl Hansen. It's showtime!
Episode 28, dated the 15th of April, 2020. Yes, not tax day. That's the first time I could say that in my life, and let's not get into how long it's been, but it's, it's a little more than a millennial lifetime. Let's just say that. All right. How was your week, guys? Wow. How was your day? Today was kind of a big day because some of us expected to either get that stimulus check from the IRS or at least like myself, update with your banking info. The next time the IRS expects payment, may one respond, payment status not available? Yeah, that was a popular tweet of mine today. Got a few retweets too. If there's ever a day for a TED Talk Zoom from, I don't know, Andrew Yang, today was the day. Speaking of today, hey, Natasha Pearl Hansen is on the podcast. She's a comedian, actor, producer. She's got her own podcast that she hosts, a Future Role Model podcast. She's verified on the Twitter. Yeah, she's been following me on there. It's not just Tom Cruise who does it. I thought it was like 40 people who were verified to follow me on Twitter. Apparently, there's like 80 of them, which is wild. I just picked up another one this week. Crazy. Anyway, what am I? Mark Maron? Make this up all about me? No, I'm Mark Roman. So let's talk about Natasha, but in a minute. Hey, if you listen to the podcast, you know my cause is hero tier, a word I coined a decade ago. I'm that guy. Yeah, I coin words. I do it. This past week, we started Operation Stagecoach. Yeah, it's not to find a soul and award it to Wells Fargo. No, Operation Stagecoach is so Venka's ride might become more reliable because for last year, it's been her home. She's fortunately got a hotel room. We don't know how long it's going to last. So we need to make sure that car is in good working order. Desperately needs some repairs and maintenance. And in this past week doing Operation Stagecoach, we found hero tier number 45. We were able to send nearly $50 more in direct cash aid to Venka. She definitely appreciates it because when you don't have a lot of cash, sometimes you get NS fees at the bank. And when you're in a position that Venka's in, those rack up and they don't help. They do not help. So every little bit we're able to get to her, she definitely appreciates. We also played Cards for Hero Tier 6. Yeah, it's like a regular thing on Mondays now. And Hero Tier Justin Toll, he won a Trump shout-out video. That's like $150 value. Yeah, he won it from last week's podcast guest, John D. Domenico. That's right, the one you hear from Howard Stern, Conan, Fox News, The View, stuff like that. Johnny D's amazing. Let's see, next week's Cards for Hero Tiers prize is a 30-minute photo session, also worth $150. This is with photographer and hero tier, Jason Wolfhook. So, if you're maybe an actor, you could use some new headshots because you've been growing your hair out during the quarantine, like your Grizzly Adams, if Grizzly Adams could watch Netflix, and chill. I guess he would chill with the bear, just to have the Netflix, So, you might need some new headshots because you got the new look with the long hair. It looks awesome. So, but, times are tough right now. So instead of having to shell out several $100 to get headshots, why don't you become a new hero tier or make another hero tier purchase for as little as $5? And then if you win, you get a cool photo session with Jason. How awesome would that be? You can follow Hero Tier on Instagram at Hero Tier Gram. And you can discover what this is all about. If you got questions, I know you guys are curious. Go to herotier.org. So a couple weeks ago, we introduced the Connor caveat. Yes, I'm with my son, Connor Westnells. Connor Westnells Ramos, I think is his name now. He changed his name a little bit, which is cool. It's hey, I changed my name. He can change his name. It's a thing. We all kind of dug the Connor caveat, so I thought, hey, let's do it again. We actually had a really cool convo, so let's check in with Connor, see how he's holding up with his quarantine. Connor, how's it going?
Yo, I'm doing fairly well. How about you?
I can't complain. It's we're all dealing with the hashtag quarantine life, right? How's yours been?
Honestly, it's been fairly good overall. I've just been back at home, watching my shows, talking with friends online, of course, being in
Right,
the
right.
garden. It's been
How's
really chill overall.
how's the garden coming? I did a walk the other day in the neighborhood here in Hollywood, and I discovered this huge community garden. I had no idea was there. Which, when the pandemic's over, I think I need to plug into that. But I was thinking of your garden. What's
Oh
what's
yeah.
growing right now?
Oh gosh. Well, finally things are starting to sprout up. We're starting to see some good growth in things like the radishes. We actually got some beans
Nice.
coming up, and some peas, and honestly, a good variety of things. Apparently, we had some wild cherry trees just popping up, and so we just
Really
planted it nearby in the garden. So that should be nice
crazy.
to watch.
Yeah, cherries are cool.
Yeah, no, it's. I don't think it's actually wild cherry. It's some kind of variety of cherry based off of the leaf, but we'll see how it is once it grows up in another year or two.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So how do you figure that out? It's the leaf. That's the only real evidence you have to go on to until it sprouts fruit.
Yeah, well, I mean, using the magic of Google, I basically looked up identification for cherry trees, and apparently the leaf is either spear shaped or rounded. But the important part is that the leaf edges are what is the term? Toothed. So it had all
Ah,
those qualities, and so to
okay.
my best guess, it's a young cherry, but we'll see.
Do you remember visiting at your grandma and grandpa Dick and
I do.
Marilyn? There was a couple of cherry trees there. I remember one you could see right out of the dining room window.
Yeah, I I don't recall seeing the cherry trees, or at least maybe I was when I visited. It was when it wasn't necessarily fruiting, but hey,
Right,
that is
right.
a cool note.
Yeah, no, it's got fond memories of the cherry trees. So yeah, I hope those generate some groovy fruta. Now,
Yeah.
what shows have you been watching? You mentioned you're watching some shows.
Ooh. Uh, Nothing necessarily to be proud of. I honestly, my main consumption of media
Are
is
any of
just
us
like,
proud? Are any of us
yeah,
proud? Right now, I think there's a lot of activity right now that everyone's cool with. You know what? It's pandemic activity. It's like Vegas. What happens during the pandemic? Well, maybe a lot of that needs to stay in the pandemic, right?
I guess so. Honestly, what I've been watching is stuff I usually watch, just a bunch of anime shows, Japanese
Oh,
animation
right
type
on.
things.
Like
I
it's like a
am a
Crunchyroll. Is
bit of an
that one of the?
aficionado. I watch a little bit too much.
Nothing wrong with that. If you dig it,
Yeah.
do it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Uh, I mean, I can say titles, but I'm sure they will make no sense to you. Uh,
There's going to be
um,
one person who's listening to the podcast in Liechtenstein or somewhere that will like be even more of a super fan than you are, believe it or not. It's crazy who's listening literally across the globe. A couple weeks ago, someone in like some Pacific island near Guam, I think, is listening.
really,
It's crazy. Yeah, oh yeah, it's amazing.
that's incredible.
I
Ah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that said, what are you into?
I mean, currently, so just for clarification, in the current era of anime watching, a lot of people watch seasonal shows. So basically, shows that are currently coming out for the season. Currently, it's the spring season.
Okay.
For me, I'm currently watching Tower of God, Gleipnir, Kaguya-sama, Love is War. Uh, combination of action shows, mystery themes, and of course, slice of life comedy romance. I'm also currently watching,
Interesting.
and hopefully people who watch anime will know this, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Currently, the Diamond is Unbreakable section, which is entertaining to say the least. JoJo's, if you haven't heard, is this incredibly iconic series that has been going on for a very long time, to say the least, and
Now,
is yeah,
only JoJo I'm familiar with is JoJo Rabbit, which is the
slightly
feature
different.
film. Slightly okay.
Though there
I
technically
figured
was
as much.
Nazis in part of the show at one point, but they were evil cyborg people. It gets complicated. Anime is weird,
Gotcha.
but yeah, no, it's an enjoyable time overall. I greatly enjoy these shows because it's a lot more creative and out of the box than a lot of the shows you find in current media, and it just I don't know it
Really?
scratches an itch where I can't really find in other general forms of media.
Well, fair enough. I'm trying
Yeah, how
to
about you?
remember the name of the show um back in the olden days, if your old man's time cartoon
Yeah.
watching. There was this one, it was a dubbed, it had to have been anime. Um
Hmm.
I can't think of the name of it to save the life of me right now. Not Voltron. That's Voltron doesn't really count as anime, does it?
I I gosh dang it, I'm trying to see. Is well, okay,
The
to be,
lions come together to
technical,
form you know, a
yeah,
super dude.
Voltron, I forget whether it was originally from so, like, this is where it gets complicated because there's a lot
Right.
of people who fight over what is actually,
Ooh.
anime or not. Some are very
Of
staunchly,
course.
it has to come from Japan. Some people go, if it has
Ah,
this
right.
certain aesthetic, then it's
Right.
anime.
Yeah.
I'm more in the second group personally. I would count Voltron into anime, and on a cursory Google search, it appears to be yeah, it was originally made in Japan. It was an anime series. So,
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now there was another
yeah,
one,
Voltron
and
was.
I okay, so I loved Voltron
Yeah.
as a kid. Like I really dug, and I preferred. There's like two versions. There's the one we had the lions, and then you had one where you had like cars. It's kind of like a Transformers. I don't know who stole what idea from whom, but the cars formed
Oh, everybody steals
the big
everything.
fighter dude. Exactly.
Yeah.
But the lions, I don't know, just seemed a little more classical, and I don't know, it's cooler. I dug
Oh,
it.
yeah. Actually, if you didn't know, there's a new Voltron that's out on Netflix, last I recall.
Oh,
If you ever
that's
wanna
right. Yeah,
yeah,
because
uh,
I need more stuff to watch, Connor.
obviously. Yeah, no, I
I'm like
honestly
halfway
highly
through
recommend it.
Westworld right now on HBO. Like
Ooh,
I'd watched
it's
the
really
first
good.
season, and I'm halfway through the second season now, so I'm not yet into the third season that's airing. So how much have you seen?
I've seen, I think, up to current stuff. I they may have brought out a new season or 2, but I can't really say where
Well,
I'm at
there's
without spoiling things too much, but,
well, how about we do this? I'll do vague.
yeah.
So, and by the way, anyone who's listening right now, we might inadvertently do a plot spoiler on Westworld. So,
Spoiler warning.
yeah. So that said, um, so first season, it's like Wild Wild West, and
Right.
that's your thought process. So blasted through that. Second
Mhm.
season, this isn't really plot spoil, but you kind of learn, you know, because it's hinted at in the first season, like what's really going on. Second season, they kind of address what's really going on
Right.
to a degree, and there might be other levels. And that's where I'm in the middle of right now. Third
Okay.
season, I can tell it's got what's his name from Breaking
Gosh.
Bad, the sidekick to
Yeah, I forget his name too, but, yeah, no, he's good.
okay. So you're in third season then, which I think is there. I don't think that's finished yet. That's like the latest episode. I think just dropped literally. We're recording this on Monday, last night, Sunday, because it comes out on Sunday, right? Doesn't it?
Yes,
I think.
honestly,
I feel
I
like it
kind
is.
of I haven't watched it too recently. I think I watched, like, the, first episode or 2,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then
Okay.
I've kind of
So you're a
not
little
been
farther
looking at it
ahead
for a
than
while.
me.
Yeah, but
But so
I'm
do you dig that show? Is that a pretty cool show?
it I do. I really do. It's
right?
quite fun.
Takes your brain and just rips it up and hands it back to you, and everything you thought you knew about anything, you're just like, "Ugh."
Yeah, it's really well written. I mean, it's not, of
Right?
course, the perfect amalgamation of everything that is really cleverly written in all times, but it's good enough to be like, "Wow, I didn't expect that."
Right?
Yeah, no, there's some really good twists in there, and I really enjoyed it. Sounds like you enjoyed it too.
Oh, yeah, I'm really, really digging it, really digging it. It's you know what? I gotta figure out what the name of that show is.
It's
What
okay.
is
I'm
it?
sure you'll figure it out at some point.
Voltron anime. It was
Look at
cool
this.
because I remember as a little kid because I definitely had a soap opera element to it. So it'd
Sure.
be like this whole backstory of one of the fighter pilots, his girlfriend and all the stuff. And I'd be as a little kid, not quite teenager, going like, okay, I'm bored. Can we get to all the fighting stuff? That's cool.
Right.
Okay, that's
I
Voltron.
Yeah, no. Last to recall, I haven't actually seen the series itself, but the
Maybe
newest one does have a
80s
good
anime?
bit of action in itself, but it does lend to more of a character focus.
Right. Okay, I just typed in
Yeah.
80s anime. Okay, Akira Grave.
Find anything?
No, none of this is.
It's okay. Like realistically, Voltron and just like Mecha and ooh, was no, it's that wouldn't be it. So there's
Oh, yeah. Oh,
one
you
of
just said mecha. So tech. Robotech.
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 I'm gonna have to look this up.
Robotech. Yes, Robotech. I really dug. Let me look this up here.
Robotech.
Yes.
Wow,
Yep, that's
looks
it.
like it's a
Robotech.
long-spanning series too.
Yes. Yes. From 1985. One season.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. This is called The Third Robotech War, The New Generation. So maybe there was other.
Yeah, there's multiple,
Okay. Oh, yeah.
different
There's an
series.
85 episode. Okay. Oh, so you don't even know about Robotech, huh?
Not at all. To be fair, there's a lot of, like,
I
there's a
feel like I
lot of
just
shows.
introduced you to the Led Zeppelin of anime.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like going through your dad's old anime. You're like, whatever, dad, whatever. What is he? Oh, what's this? Yeah, I
Yeah,
really dug Robotech.
I'll
Like,
have to look
I might
into
need to
this.
revisit that because I just back then, this was back in the days where you sit around in front of the cathode ray tube. You're lucky if you had a remote control. You usually had to walk up and literally turn a physical knob to get to the channel. There's like rabbit ears involved because it literally was coming over the airwaves. There was no cable. Yeah. So it's like
Right, right.
it was an event, whereas now
Yeah,
it's just like, you binge watch, something and you're like, oh, whatever. You turn on Netflix and you're like, bored. You're scanning through literally just like years of content that, people have like bled and died for. And you're just like, yeah, there's nothing to watch. We're literally in
right.
this renaissance. There's never been more content choices to choose from. Now, granted, I agree with you. A lot of crap
Yeah,
out there. Totally.
right.
But that said, so from what you're seeing in Robotech right now, is this perking your interest? Is that something you'd want to
I
investigate further, perhaps?
I actually know this by a different name. So,
Oh,
it's more
really?
commonly known as, Macross.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so apparently Robotech is the, US name for it, but the, Japanese original name was, let's see, something,
Oh,
the Macross Saga, the
okay.
Macross Saga or something like that, and
Have you seen any of it?
I have not, but I have heard good stuff about it. It's like one of the original, like, big mech shows, so that's cool to know. Look at that.
And see, back then, I didn't even know it as anime. It was just this cool thing that somehow some local channel picked up, like, along with Voltron and Scooby Doo and
Right,
I Love Lucy and Gomer
right.
Pyle USMC and Gilligan's Island and
Yeah, it was just another
Hogan's
one of the
Heroes.
shows. I
Exactly.
completely
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that like I didn't learn the word anime until literally probably decades later. So,
Right, right.
well, interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
that's really
I'm going to
cool.
have to duck out here because we got an action-packed episode yet again.
Ooh, of course.
I
Best in
got
luck.
I got Natasha Pearl Hansen. She's one of those stand-up comedians who's verified who follows me on Twitter. So I
Ooh,
reached out to her and she said, "Yeah, let's chat." So I have an
yeah.
interview here in this episode. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it does. I hope you got something enlightening from it.
I did actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll
It's
see to
good.
find out.
Right? We're gonna have to tune in to listen. So how you liking the
Mm.
podcast so far now that you're on it? Does that
You know,
make a
it's good.
difference?
I enjoy it.
Because I know it's okay. It's your dad, so you're like, whatever, okay.
Sure, sure. No,
Because
I
you've
think
actually
it's
done some podcast or like you've recorded some stuff yourself, right?
yeah. I back before the event, I did like
Right.
a yeah, I did like a radio show back in Syracuse. It was for WERW Real College Radio. It was basically not even real radio. It was online, and suffice to say, I basically
That
just
counts.
did an hourly thing or a weekly thing for an hour of just reading bedtime stories and playing jazz. It was really chill. But
Okay, wait, this is a different thing. I was thinking of something else that you're doing as a little
oh,
side project. I had no idea you did that. That's awesome.
really? Oh
You
God,
play
I thought I
jazz?
mentioned. Oh
No,
yeah,
no, 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 no,
let's
no. Oh, this is
yeah, man.
amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
God. I had no idea. I'm so proud of you. That sounds
yeah.
so
Thank you.
cool.
Well, I would go more into this, but I'm sure you need to get back into your show anyway.
We'll
We
talk
can talk
about
about
it
this
in the
after.
next segment. Yeah, you got to shoot me
Yeah,
some, if you can find a link, if it's anywhere, somewhere where I can hear it, we can talk about it next time. That sound cool?
sure, sure.
All right, Connor. We'll talk to you. I love you, buddy. That was cool catching up with Connor. Well, I had no idea that we were going to connect so much on anime. Wow, on Robotech. That's so cool. I guess we both have to go dig deeper. Discovery for Connor and for me, like revisiting. Anyway, that's kind of cool. I really dig Connor. I'm happy this worked out. You know, I'm the son of Elmer Gantry's bitch, and Connor is a friggin' scientist. Like, how did that happen? I'm just grateful. That's all I can say. Anyway, guys, and I know this is a broken record from last week. The jingly janglies, okay, during the first part of the intro, I did it again this week. Sorry, I'm still figuring it out. I got this cool, like sound shield cover thingy. It goes over the microphone. Because I know you guys are hearing a bunch of irritating pops, and there's like salamanders wrestling with gerbils and hamsters, and iguanas are driving by, and Studebakers. I mean, it's crazy what's going on here. I'm trying to clear it up, guys. All right, there's like it's getting better each week. Okay, I'm getting the schedule in place. We got the Mondays with Cards for Hero Tears is pretty locked in. So I just each week it's getting a little better, guys, and I appreciate you hanging in there with me through these early days of the Empire. That's so cool of you. Now, usually when I interview folks here on the pod, I interview people that I know. Usually people I know really well. Maybe I've worked with them through a variety of gigs, or we've had a variety of experiences together. So there's a lot of material that I can reach into. But that's not the case with this interview. This interview kind of falls into a New Year's resolution that I feel like I made, but I'm following through on it. Even if I didn't make it, see how awesome is that? And what the resolution was is I wanted to reach out to all these verified folks who follow me on the Twitter. It's kind of cool to have them follow, but it's also kind of weird. I mean, why? I barely have 12,000, not even 12,000. I have 1,200 followers, barely, something like that. I don't know. And I follow more than that, which is like cardinal rule no in social media. No, you're supposed to, have more followers than you actually follow. But, I'm a nerd. I'm following newspapers and columnists and organizations, and there's just a lot of cool, interesting people out there. And I'm interested in what they have to say. So like I follow them. And I could really fucking care less how many people follow me. I mean, I want someone to follow. I had an epiphany this one time, just this once in my life, when I encountered someone who really clearly just could not deal with Robin Williams. I don't mean like dealing with, he had drug issues, and I'd hate to be like married to the guy as a guy or a girl, but lovely human being. I'm just saying, Robin, nose candy. There's stories. Just, I love him, adore him. He's a hero of mine. But he's, can you imagine Robin Williams waking up in your bed every day, being Robin Williams, like on all the time? And you wonder why I remain single. So I encountered someone who just did not think Robin Williams was funny. And I went, wow, even Robin Williams has people who don't, that's just not their cup of comedy tea. What's that all about? And that just, it blew my mind. And I realized in that moment, as a performer myself, it's like, I don't need everybody to be my fan. I just need enough fans. And if that's maybe just 1,200 people follow me on Twitter, I'm okay with that. Because 80 of them are verified. They're people like Dana Carvey, Amnesty International, Tom Cruise, okay? Natasha Hansen, okay? She's one of those verifieds. And she's also from the Midwest. And given that I spent a decade in Michigan, we had that. Look, I just did that. Can you hear that? Is that what it is? Okay, that's the cord to my headphones. I swear I'm going to solve these audio issues for you guys. I'm sorry. We will get it done. Just plowing through here. Spielberg likes to say. Natasha, she's also from the Midwest. And then when I sat down and chatted with her, well, she was in the Midwest. I was here in California. We did the virtual thing as these interviews have been lately. I came to find out she's essentially created her own thing as a comedian in Hollywood, carved her own path. And I didn't quite know that. She kind of did something a little different than what a lot of other comedians might do. And I kind of dig her even more because of that. Now, her stage presence, I personally find appealing. It's a very Dean Martin easy. She's very comfortable on stage. I won't say quiet, but she doesn't feel like she has to spend a lot of energy to get across to you. And there's a lot of power in that, and I respect that power. And I enjoy watching her like a cat play with the power. It's a fun thing to watch, and she does it very, very well. It's what I call Dean Martin easy. I like it. Lately, over the last year or so, she's been working on her newest project, and she's all ready to debut it at this event that is revered by comedians around the world. If you're a comedian, you might anticipate what I'm talking about. And then the pandemic happened. So what did she do? Well, hey, why spoil the process? Why don't you guys join me in enjoying the process together of discovering a little bit more about Natasha Hansen. Natasha
Yay!
Hansen. It's
We're
a pleasure to
finally
finally
doing it.
meet you, kinda,
Yes.
sorta.
Over, a verbal meeting, and we've had a couple. And it's funny for us having to explore these virtual technical ways of meeting and recording, because we
I
had to do a
know,
little bit of
right?
messing with the system to get it to work, and these are the kind of things that we have to deal with now in our quarantine life.
It's got to be weird because as a fellow performing artist who I take it has done both mediums, in front of a camera, in front of a live audience. I sense that your preference, as is mine, is the live audience. Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mean as far as stand-up goes or performing?
Yeah, or just any performing. But yeah, I mean, clearly stand-up's kind of the beast that
Yeah.
we
I
love.
mean, the fun thing about stand-up and performing live is it's always different. You get that immediate gratification, if something sucks or isn't good
Right.
right away.
The feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to film something. I'm obviously being very creative with income right now and different brands that
You're
I
the
work
only
with.
one. You're the only one.
Right, I'm the only one. And so I created this social media commercial for a brand that I really love,
Nice.
and I shot it, and of course I had to spend all day editing it yesterday,
Now,
and
are you a video editor? Is that one of your
I am
professions?
not. That is absolutely not one of my skills.
And yet,
But but, in my early years, I taught myself how to do, like, the bare minimum of a lot of things just because
right, sure,
we have to be so well-rounded, and sometimes you didn't have the money to hire an editor, so you had to be able to do mild editing, and so I can do some pretty low grade stuff. I mean,
sure.
once you
Get the
once you get
job
into
done.
complicated things, yeah, I can get some basic stuff done, but, there are so many apps now. I ended up doing most of my editing on, like, 4 different apps and kind of collaging them on top of each other or layering
Mm.
them on top of each other, so it ended up
Mm-hmm.
looking really cinematic and cool because, I mean, it's not going on a big screen, it's going on a phone.
Right,
So
exactly.
a
I mean, Quibi's
4K
now all the
sem
rage, right? That's like a little,
yeah,
it's like a
and so
dot on a postage stamp that's been shrunk down to.
totally. Like, it's easy to make a really high quality video for something tiny. It's like
Right.
buying somebody a really great diamond that's like, the size of a peanut. Um, or what's smaller than a peanut? A contact I don't know what's small. I don't own diamonds.
A
But
fragment
anyway,
of a
so
pistachio.
exactly, like a mustard seed. Isn't a mustard seed like the smallest kind of seed? I guess that would be a
Yeah,
better
sure.
choice.
I'll have to ask my son. He's a scientist in my
The
family,
very
so.
biblical seed. But yeah, so I had to shoot this video and edit
Yes,
it
you are
myself,
from
and
the
then
Midwest, aren't you?
yes, yeah, yeah. Which is where I currently am right now, hiding out with my family. So,
Can we
um,
be a little more specific? Like,
I'm in Wisconsin,
there we go.
southern Wisconsin. So why?
What's your favorite cheese? I have to ask. I mean, or
Goat
do you have a
cheese,
favorite?
because I'm actually allergic to most cheeses.
That's because you spent too much time in LA, all of your Wisconsin friends tell you, right?
It's honestly a big part of it because people don't put a lot of real cheese on anything. Growing up, I pretty much ate cheese solely. So
Right?
I grew up on farms and I farmed and I ate
Oh, no kidding.
dirty fruits and vegetables and I plowed and I did tobacco, like I did everything.
No way.
So yeah, yeah. So I don't
Tobacco
have
is
any
grown in
allergies.
Wisconsin?
Oh yes. Oh my God, yeah.
I had
Definitely.
no idea.
Oh yeah.
Still to this
The
day?
farm, yeah. I mean, I started maybe not as much now. It might be
Yeah.
more soy and some more less temperamental crops. I haven't seen tobacco since I was younger, but my grandpa's farm was all tobacco for the most part,
Wow.
tobacco and soy and corn. Um, and
That
they
is
would rotate
crazy.
those three crops. Yeah, and so I started working in tobacco fields when I was 9. But to I think just growing up and eating so much fresh dairy, it wasn't processed. And then, come
Mhm.
college, I started like everything in the dorms was really processed. And then
Sure.
after college, pretty much nothing was dairy anymore. So
C
then when I
can we
started to
say which
research it,
college?
University of Minnesota Twin Cities, I went to for 2 years before I left to do comedy.
No, I was just on the phone. Look at me like I'm in 1989. I was talking to my Aunt Ellen who lives in Minnesota just earlier today.
Oh
I was actually on the podcast that dropped last week. Folks, listen to this now.
yeah. What does Aunt Ellen do in Minnesota?
She just moved in. Her and her husband, they just moved into their lovely retirement community condo. But she's a psychologist and a counselor and kind of
Oh, cool.
unofficial. She's unofficially part-time. Her needy nephew's shrink from time to time.
That's actually pretty cool. It's cool that you have a built-in psych that like understands your family dynamic and stuff. So you don't have to even explain.
it's
Um,
it's weird because I have a weird one. Like I'm not close at all with my parents, but there's this
oh,
huge.
interesting.
Yeah, she's one of 4 sisters. Um, 2 of which are still with us, total of 3 still with us. And I'm connect more with the other 2 sisters, and I'm actually going to kind of check in with them on the podcast. Last week I started with my son, who we talk every week. He's in college, so we do the Connor caveat probably every other week now. But yeah, I'm trying to reach out to the cousins, and I literally asked Dan Ellen last week. I'm like, hey, when's the Hodges family Zoom? And she's like, that's a good idea. And I'm like, who do you think would be the proper elder, if I might say, to organize that? She said, all right, I'll do it. I'm like, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta get kind of like a young elder to be able to organize something like that.
well, she is one of the younger sisters, so she's got that going. So,
Cool.
but she's got
Yeah, I
grandkids.
love my Midwest peeps. I'm, when everything started shutting down, I was flying in between New York and Chicago, and so I just hopped off and came to my parents, and I've been here ever since. So
Makes sense.
I'm hanging out with mom, dad, and grandma every single day, and I've been here for a month, and I'm actually like fine. I'm not really that annoyed of them yet.
Okay. Now, Natasha, I have to ask, because this is a little question I came up with, a silly little gimmicky thing with my Here to Your cause, but I got to ask, given the pandemic, and I know we just met, but what is your cup size?
My cup size? Does that mean bra or does that mean my beverage?
That is a great response. It's more of the beverage. So I found this was like, because a lot of people, it was weird because I started a cause a few months ago. And now that the pandemic's happened, I've noticed a big shift in people's response. People seem a little more open. They recognize, oh, wow, it's more of a community thing now, and we need each other.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So
I thought
my answer for both is medium. I drink out of a medium-sized cup so
there
my
you
ice
go.
stays fresh, and I have medium-sized boobs so that nothing ever droops.
This is not Men's Health magazine, Natasha. We don't need to, trot out your Velveeta pasties. I mean, we're not going to say no, but
That was 5 years ago. It's been a
that
while.
was so half a decade ago. I know. I get it. Well, I kind of enjoy this because we're kind of discovering each other. I noticed that you were one of the verifieds on Twitter that I'm so flattered to be followed by, because I don't even have 2,000 followers on Twitter, but some of them include people like, I don't know if you've heard of Dana Carvey or Selena Tan from Crazy Rich Asians, or let's see, Barack Obama. Does that ring a bell? Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I have no idea why these people follow me. I've met none of them, but they follow me on Twitter. I've done it for years. And you're one of them. And I saw liking some things. And then recently, were following me and liking stuff on Instagram. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll reach out to Natasha. And you were really kind and gracious and said, yeah, I'll be on your tiny, unheard of little fledgling podcast, Mark. Why not? I got some time on my hands.
I love meeting and having conversations with new people. I just had, I don't know if you ever heard of Chris Denman. He's a Midwest comedian, podcaster, but he has a show called We Are Live Radio. And we had never met either.
Makes sense.
And I did his podcast right before the pandemic hit, before I left for tour.
Oh,
and
wow.
Now I've hung out with and now we talk all the time. Like, he's one of my favorite people.
Oh, so that's so cool.
We just hit it off digitally once again. And
right.
I don't care who anybody is or what anybody's up to, as long as they have human first has always been my thing. If they're cool,
right,
I'm cool.
Right. And I didn't dig in too deep because I was kind of, most of my guests in the past, I've worked with for a while, so I got a real, deep sense of who they are. And so I got a kind of an idea of a trajectory of what I want to do during the interview. But right now it's kind of a fun discovery thing. What I did see of some of the things that you've done, and, watched a couple of your bits, especially at the Laugh Factory there in my kind of town, Chicago. I'm kind of digging this. You've got a very zen, relaxed, yes, you clearly do yoga because you have this strong sense of yourself and timing, and you're uber relaxed. You almost remind me of, what's her name? Do you watch Westworld on HBO?
Yeah, I mean, I have watched a few episodes. I don't watch. I'm not up to date.
Gotcha. Well, I rewatched season 1. I'm now very shallow into season 2, but there's this character Dolores, and without
hmm
spoiling on any plot, she's an android. She's a Cylon, and she's kind of
hmm
discovering herself through the course of the series. And she has an appearance, and a lot of people make judgments based on that, but there's a lot of stuff going on inside her brain, and she takes advantage of the fact that a lot of people think they know who she is and what she's all about. And I just
Interesting.
love how you'll just sit on stage, look in the audience, you set your joke up, and then you just kind of nonchalantly, like you're a female Dean Martin, you just kind of drop the punchline. You're like, yeah, that happened. I kind of dig it.
Oh, I
I was,
appreciate that. It's very rare that somebody kind of breaks down your style for you because it's something
I could be
that I don't
completely
think.
wrong. This is a first
No,
take
no,
on my
no, you're
part,
not. I mean, you honestly, nobody's really ever wrong with how they read you because comedy is so subjective.
right?
So nobody could tell me what my style is and they would be wrong. You know, that's totally kind of up to how they're perceiving it. So I've never really analyzed myself too hard or overthought it. I just, I talk about what I want to talk about and I
I'm here
deliver
to do
how I
that for you,
deliver.
Natasha. I can overthink
No, I
anything. I'm
enjoy
a
it. I
pro
think it's
at it.
such a refreshing thing to hear somebody else tell you. We used to do one of my early acting classes in LA. We would do this exercise where other people in the room would typecast you like the first day.
Right.
And it was helpful
Sure.
because you're like, oh, this is what people think I am. And it's nice to have that reference, especially even as a comic, to be like, oh, this is the disclaimer I have to tackle when
Yeah,
I'm
right.
first
Exactly.
meeting somebody or being introduced to a stage.
Or it's like when you start noticing when you do acting work and you start seeing a pattern of like the type that they keep thinking, casting directors think that you are. And you're like, well,
hmm
I guess that's what I am.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it
Yeah. I
works,
mean,
maybe it doesn't, but it's other
I
people's
appreciate though
perceptions.
that you perceive me as relaxed on stage because A, I feel like I am, and B, I write on stage, so you know,
Gotcha.
I don't write like a lot of the the super punchy, super scripty feeling. Like
Right.
I'm definitely as a comedian, I'm more of a single cam comedian than I am a multicam, if that makes
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what Mark Maron does. He
sense.
writes on stage.
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Yeah.
just, when I come up with something, I kind of figure out where I'm going to, and I blame that on being an improviser first. Like I figure out what the premise is and where I need to
Right.
go, and in
Right.
between, I don't worry about it too much. Because once I'm on stage and I'm like staring at people, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get there. And I just
Yeah.
do. I do or I don't, but it's more exciting for me to
Well,
wonder.
I'm glad you're addressing this because this is kind of my challenge in the moment. Because I started in stand up in the Bay Area 10 years ago, but then I quickly
hmm
got sucked into background acting because it actually paid.
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
I just come out of the Big Short, so I went from having like a 6-figure income, barely sustaining a lifestyle in the Bay Area to suddenly like less than 20 grand driving a taxi cab. So I'm like, all right, if you're paying me, I'm going to do that in entertainment. So I
Yeah.
come down to LA and I'm doing more and more and more acting and not really doing as much comedy. But then 6 years ago, I started this busking street performance live character, and it was very heavy on improv, in a silly costume, basically, like Don Rickles doing his thing
Mhm.
with strangers in short shorts and rainbow tactical leg warmers. That's my Lieutenant Frank. And 6 years later, it's had some nice success. It's kind of known as a thing. But now I'm like, I really want to get back onto a stage. And that's a totally different thing. But like right now, if someone handed me a microphone and said, the pandemic's over, everybody's okay, it's a comedy store, go, I would be totally comfortable. I'd be riffing. I wouldn't have like a hard 10, 15, or 2, but
Mhm.
I would have absolute confidence that I could do that because of what I've done with this improv character for the last 6 years. And I would look at Joe Rogan eye to eye, and I'd say, Joe, can you step out in women's short shorts and rainbow tactical leg warmers, ditch the bouncers, ditch all your people, go on into public on Hollywood Boulevard and do what I've done? Because that's why I get to be on this stage right now. So
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's a narrative that's going in my head. I'm probably completely wrong, but I'm trying to figure out the transition. So coming from improv, how do you do it taking your improv skills to doing stand-up?
When I first started improv, I was 20 and I did improv for 5 years before starting stand-up. And so I never thought I was going to do stand-up. I actually thought it was so freeing to show up and do improv shows because you didn't have to plan anything. And
Right.
you could, if the whole show was bad, you could blame it on the whole group sucking, not just
Right.
you. You know what I mean? It's not
It's
that
a
you were looking for
collaborative
blame.
effort. I did my part.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're like, oh, our show was not good. It's not me. It was, it just felt
It was
so
Gary
communal.
and
Yeah,
Mary
and
and
it was
Peter
all these other fuckers.
and
I'm sorry, I
Sebastian.
don't know if I can
Seriously, whose
swear
name
on
is
here.
Sebastian? Is that your
But
puppy
then I was introduced to
or
stand up
people?
on accident through a comedian who came into my bar in Chicago back when I lived in Chicago, and
Right.
and he walked out on his tab, and so he had already tried to hit on me and gave me his number. So I called him and I was like, come back and pay your tab, and then also
Right.
you owe me, I want to try and do stand up. And so that's how I ended up coming to LA for the first time. Did stand up for the first time. I did 10 minutes my first time on stage at the John Lovitz Club, and that was over a decade ago.
I
Well, it was
remember
a
that
decade
club.
ago. It was a
Yeah,
decade ago.
Universal.
Yeah, I started
For
stand
City
up
Walk.
in August of 2011. So I'm almost at this summer I'll be at my 10 year.
No way. Okay, because that's about the time, I think a year or two. That's actually when I landed in LA. It was 2011, I believe.
Yeah, me too. Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, but look at you.
So
You're verified on Twitter. You're a tried and tested road comic, right? You've done the USO tour. That's a big hallmark of,
yeah,
right?
I've done a lot of tours. Most of my tours I produce myself. I don't really consider
Good
myself
for
a
you.
road comic. I did not like the road. I started featuring for people about 4 years in, and with a lot of B and C clubs, and I did
Yeah.
not enjoy them. I didn't enjoy those cities. I didn't enjoy the people I was meeting afterwards most of the time. And so I was like, I need to get good enough to be able to hold, at least a half an hour on my own and tour with other people, set
Right.
my own tours and go to cities I want. And so I've been really doing that for the last 6 years. I just kind of figure out where I want to go.
Nice.
Now I have an hour and a half of material, so I can headline no problem. But I mean, when I was
Do
first
you do a
starting,
TED Talk on how to do this? Because I would definitely want to tune into
people
that.
say that all the time, and you know what? I'm really good at a lot of, like, with brands, with hotels, like I know I can produce an entire tour with my eyes closed. So yeah, I mean, I should do that. But the other thing is, like, the people that need to hear it wouldn't probably be able to afford that kind of
Gotcha.
show or whatever
Services.
services.
Consultation.
So I just tell my friends, give them pointers, and I'm like, if they do the work, then they can do what I do. But if they don't do the work, then just like with anything, they have to actually.
It is a lot
wanna
of
do
it,
the
isn't
shit.
it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to want to do the shit. I work a lot. I work all day on a lot of things. So
Now, would you say that comedy is something that you want to do, or it's something you need to do?
definitely need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no matter what extensions of my brand I continue to create, they all have that realness and that comedic aspect to them.
Right.
I don't think I'll ever create anything that doesn't have some levity to it. Because that's just my personality. I like to bring levity to situations, even if they suck. So I think it's just ingrained in you after a while if you're, if this is your chosen path.
Is that a Midwest thing, do you think, or your own thing, or your family,
Um,
or?
I don't know if it is. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing. I don't know if that's all necessarily Midwest, but my town that I'm from specifically, my friends are fucking amazing. Like we talk every day. I've been friends with the same group of people for like 30 years, and we
Wow.
talk all the time. We visit each other all the time. Everybody lives in different cities, has pursued different mediums. They're all wildly successful at whatever they've chosen to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we lucked out. We got just this really badass group of people that grew up together. And, you know, the odds of that are very small, but I'm very fortunate. Um, so all my friends are just really funny, like so funny. I
Really?
I would rather hang out with the people I grew up with than most comics because we laugh so hard. I mean, they're just funny people,
I'm
and
laughing
without
because I relate to that to a degree. It's like,
yeah, I mean, we just have, and it's not the kind of funny where they're trying. Like it's just
right,
organic. It's
right.
organic, and it's also not the kind of funny where you're like, "Shut up, you annoying Midwest dad." It's like, no, these are just like really funny people. Um, so I'm obsessed with my friends. They're like, just my family. So I think that's a big thing. I just ended up lucking out with the people that I was surrounded by. And that continued to snowball because any new city that I would go to, I was like, I have to only surround myself with people that feel this home, this like at home for me, and this
Yeah,
supportive and good.
that's
And
a strong
so,
decision, though, and a lot of people are not in a place to even recognize that that's a choice, let alone that that's a choice they should
yes, it's a
embrace.
choice. And that's also why I don't hate LA and I've never been bitter. I've never ever felt bitter or unproud of
Yeah,
like other people's successes because the people I surround myself with don't and like put that out. It's not
right,
I I don't hang around people like that. I've always sought after people that make me feel good and that I feel good around them and they feel good around me
right.
and that's why I don't really have like the whole douchebag perception of LA that a lot of people have.
Yeah, what's that about? Because I came from Northern California, so we were trained to hate LA, and once I got
Sure.
here, I was like, "Oh, I get it. We were jealous."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that's about. You know, LA is a complicated city. Um
Sure,
there's like, it's just really a city that it can be any experience that you want it to be. If you want it to
exactly.
be party and showy and you want to surround yourself with those kind of people, then great. If you want it to be money centric for you, then fine. But if you're a creative and you work hard and you like being around good people, like there are so many talented, wonderful people in LA. And
There
I know
really
so
are.
many of them. And so I don't really have like, I don't know, I've never really felt a negativity towards that city at all.
What's funny is I felt more negativity to other parts of the country I've spent large chunks of my life in, and it's here in LA that I feel most at home.
Yeah, I'm really missing it right now. I mean, there's not much to miss as far as fear of missing out
Well,
because there's
then
nothing
I
on, but
shouldn't tell you this, but yesterday the stats came out, and apparently they did the air quality checks, and it's official as of yesterday. Los Angeles has the cleanest air in the world, thanks to the
what?
pandemic. Well, nobody's
Wow.
driving on the 405, so you know
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a misconception too. A lot of people think we're very smoggy and polluted, but really our smog is like
when
the
it doesn't
haze.
rain.
Yeah, it's just from dirt, like actual physical dirt being held in the wet air by the ocean. So,
That too, true. Yeah,
yeah, so it's never our air quality's actually never been bad in LA.
it's not the
But
70s.
yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to come back. I mean, I'll probably come back in about a week and just, you know, quarantine there and get some work done away from the family.
Right? You feel like, I love my family, but there's a time to do other things.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting a lot done here, but also, my grandma's my best friend, and
Well,
I
that's
don't
so
like
cool.
leaving her alone all day in the other room for her to just watch TV. So I have to like make lunch for us and, you know, spend the quality time with my family where I can. So,
Sure.
but it's been such a blessing to have this time with them, to be honest. Like, it's of course a tragedy that there's so much like sickness going around the world, but this downtime where nobody has to be anywhere is like, fuck yeah. Cause now I can actually just hang out with them and
Right?
not worry
Yeah.
about having to run to a show at night or, it's been a total blessing.
It's a very interesting global cultural kind of just step
Shift.
back and take a breath for a moment that,
Mm-hmm.
it's tragic, the circumstances, but be interesting to see if we actually become slightly better as human beings because of it.
Yeah. It's not only not just rare, it's not even once in most lifetimes that you get like a
There's that
worldwide
too.
break like this. Um,
Yeah.
I think I would hope that we come out of it better. I feel like everyone's being just really supportive and being really cool for the most part with each other, whether it's like, just credit card companies giving people a break or landlords giving people a break. Just, it's
Yeah.
just
Sure.
interesting. Yeah. It's interesting what people are doing for each other right now. So
And how
I'm
long is
finding it
that going to
great.
last,
Yeah. I mean, I hope as things trickle back open and I just hope there's just like a different kind of camaraderie.
Speaking of camaraderie, there's this myth, and you've it sounds like you've enjoyed the reality behind the myth a little bit with the network of friends that you were, as you would say, blessed with and have developed over your life. But this myth of Midwest niceness, what are your
Uh-huh.
thoughts on that? Because
I
there's
don't
a
think
sense
it's
that
I don't think it's a myth. I think there is something ingrained in people to be a little bit more nice and like helpful overall and like,
mm-hmm,
non-standoffish cuz uh, you know, the Midwest lands in the center of the country, which kind of to me having been spent so much time on the East Coast and lived in Chicago and then lived in LA for 9 years, I feel like that the being in the middle is very true. Like New York is very like in your face, very blunt. It's not necessarily
right,
mean. It's just like that busy,
it's direct.
don't have time. Yeah, it's direct.
Yeah,
And then LA has that stigma. A lot of people are like, oh, people in LA and California are so nice. And it's like, yes, but a lot of times it's fake nice.
there's an
And in the
agenda.
yeah, and in the Midwest, there's not that agenda. So it's kind of like the clash of the two. Like living in Chicago was
Hmm.
so great because it was like just the right amount of like big city, a little bit of brashness, but like mostly
Yeah.
just with you like a buddy, and then like, but also nice and helpful too. But
Hmm.
nice is not to be confused with weak, and I think that's oftentimes the misconception.
Oh, really?
Being kind is not a bad thing. Niceness is not a weakness. And I think a lot of people view niceness as that sometimes. Um, I've enjoyed the way that I've operated my career from a Midwest mentality.
Interesting. I see. I'd like to discover more of your kind of Midwest because I spent a decade in Michigan and I experienced a little different kind of Midwest, but it was had
How
revolved around a
so?
very small college I went to and people in
Yeah.
sales and
Oh, well, that's a world I
right,
haven't. And that's the thing. People think entertainment is rough, and that's true. But every field has its own type of rough. I have friends that
right.
live in New York and friends that live in New York and work on Wall Street, and like that's a whole nother beast. One of my best friends is in DC and works in politics. I mean, that's even worse. So I mean, it's just to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever, pick your poison. It's all got its like, it's
Our,
all got its
our
weirdness.
our industry doesn't have the monopoly on douchebags.
No, it does not. It really does not. You kind of can't. I mean, people get humbled too quickly and too consistently in our industry.
Right. You're as good
Over
as your
time,
last
there's
special.
many.
You're as good as your last special.
Yeah, I mean,
You haven't had one in a year or 6 months. What are you doing? What happened?
I think that stigma has kind of changed. I'm about to release my first one, and I think people are being smart about. You should be putting out content consistently, sure, but the quality of the content should be there as well. I'm very picky about what I put out, just because I want to make sure that if people are discovering something of mine, that it's something that I feel like represents me now.
No, I
Yeah,
thought
and that's the tough
Diary
one.
of a Bad Fiance, was that an audio?
No, that's actually was supposed to be my one-woman show that was going to be debuting at Edinburgh this year, which is now canceled.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I spent last year. I was like hustling like crazy. I was touring
Sure.
every month somewhere new. With
Wow.
my roster of work that I did for myself last year is I can't even believe all that I accomplished. And then this year, that's what I was building towards, was that. But it's okay. I mean, now I've just pushed it back with my team to 2021,
Right.
and
Like the
now I'm
Olympics?
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, not exactly, because I mean, Jesus Christ, can you imagine being an Olympian and having to push another year?
I
There's
know,
nothing
but it's a
comparable to
great
that.
go-to for you. If someone
Oh,
gives an issue, you could be like, well, it's working for the Olympics, so I think it'll work for
yeah.
me. It's
Oh,
going to be all
Jesus.
right.
Can you imagine training to
I
be
can't
like
even.
exactly on point by year
Well,
4, and you have to add another year to that?
and they need, with the whole quarantine and social distancing, that immediately shuts down the very training that they have to do daily. That's like bleeding edge
Yeah.
of physical
No, I
training
mean, it's,
technology and techniques. Like they have to be in the highest,
yeah.
quality and standards of gyms, and they can't just go to the local 24-hour fitness or LA Fitness. Like,
Well, and
no,
that's
that's
why they
not going to
can't
cut it. This is
just
Olympics. This is not a
delay.
schoolyard pickup game.
Right. That's why they can't just delay something like that. Same with
It's a big
Edinburgh. They
deal.
can't just delay. I mean, I would have been not able to do Edinburgh if it was just delayed, because I would have had 2.5 months of no shows to do my final touches and polishing on the show before it was supposed to debut. So I'm
Wow.
relieved that it was canceled, not just delayed, because if it was delayed, I would have felt like I would have had to postpone anyway, just to make sure that I wasn't scraping with the last bit of stage time I had to like get that ready. But what
Because
I
there's a
am,
lot of preparation. It's like people don't realize when they see a comic do, an hour on Netflix or HBO or Amazon or wherever, that act has been performed how many times, would you say?
yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, there's a lot of preparation. There's different types of preparation. I mean, it depends on who you are. When I shot my special, it was on my wedding day, so there was, definitely about 15 to
Wow.
20% of the material that I couldn't prep, because it was on stage in front of my family and friends, and it was my wedding day location. Um,
Wow.
so I had to roast the situation, and I can't do that at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood.
Right.
You can't set the stage there. So I had to write and do a lot of material for the first time in my special that I never really did again. I never did it, a lot of it again. Only did it the one time. So I mean, it's circumstantial, but I like taking risks like that. With
So
Diary
that's
of a
part of,
Bad Fiance, um, I'm planning to. I already had started writing it as a book before a one-woman stand-up comedy
oh,
show,
interesting.
and then I was starting to translate it into a series that I could use my platform at Edinburgh to pitch it as a series. So now I'm just
Right.
writing the series, so that when,
Oh,
hopefully by the
nice.
time I get it to Edinburgh, the series already has some interest. So there's always a pivot.
So this is all content we've yet to see.
Correct.
Copy that.
But my
Well,
my special's in negotiations right now for distribution, like as we speak. So hopefully it should
interesting.
be out pretty damn soon.
So it's done. It's just a matter of distribution.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because it features my family and it's such an intimate day for me because it was when our wedding was canceled. So
I was going to say,
I'm
I
not.
feel like I have a sense of how this turned out, but it's like I don't want to do any plot spoilers for your special.
There's no plot spoilers. I put everything. I wear my life on my sleeve because I feel like it helps people. There are so many people that go through. I've just seen it firsthand. Different couples, even people that we'd been close to as a couple, and they put out there that their marriage is so great and they're so happy and they travel everywhere together. And I
Yeah,
see
who
what
are
it's
those
really
people?
like. No, I mean, I see what it's really like. And it's not a portrayal. It's not an accurate portrayal. Um, I
Right.
think if you're going to give people an idea of what your life is like, you should give them just like equality in film and how you should be diversifying human beings, you should be diversifying the way you portray your life. Like
Ooh,
if you're going to
interesting.
showcase a cut of the population and only show a bunch of white people, you're an idiot because that's not
Yeah.
how a population looks. Well,
Right.
same if you're going to portray your life. If you're only showing highlight reel, you're giving people this false sense of what their life should be like, and that's not fair. Like if
It's
you have
dishonest.
a rough time in your relationship, yes. If you're feeling, low, like I talk about this kind of stuff on even Instagram stories. If I'm having a hard day, like I've opened up about going through my breakup and how hard it's been, um, a lot. And but that I just power through it, I'm not letting it like
Sure.
take me down, but it's been a hard year and I'm super vocal about that. And I think people like that because it makes them be like, oh, she can have fun and still enjoy people's company and have levity to her life and still be going through like this shit show of a time, you know?
Right. Right. Well,
So
it's
it's like it doesn't have to be perfect.
when a relationship ends, especially one where marriage, either is involved or was threatened to be involved. I say this as someone who's firmly divorced, and I almost got married a second time. So I've had a share of long-term relationships that ended. It's like a death, and there's a
It
grieving
is.
process, and
Yeah.
and you can't, just like you got to do the work in comedy and entertainment. You got to do the work when you go through the grieving process. So it's
Yeah.
not going to happen in a day or a weekend or even a month.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's tough. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I hope everybody can always make their relationships work and be merry, but it's not a reality,
Right.
For us, we were trying to make it work for a long time and it just wasn't making anyone happy. So, I mean, in the long run, the choice that we made was the right one. It's just horrible, but
Right.
and that's okay. I look forward to being on the other side of it, just like we all look forward to being on the other side of this virus and this whole lockdown. Like, there
Great
is another
analogy.
side
Sure.
of all the shit. There's
Yeah.
always another side and we can always look forward to that. You're not going to be living in the shitstorm forever.
Now, was he in the industry or is he in a different industry?
Yes. Yeah, industry and industry adjacent. He kind of wears a lot of hats. Very,
Okay.
very talented. He's one of my favorite people. We're still talking pretty regularly. And
Oh, that's good.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and we've been in each other's lives for 13 years. So it's not like I want to just wash him out of my existence.
Well, no need to. You have a different understanding of the boundaries in the relationship now.
Yeah. I think, sometimes people just grow different directions and that's not
Right.
necessarily bad. It's hard to deal with that reality, but it's, you know, I think in the end we all just deserve to find somebody that complements us in what we want. You shouldn't have to make you should have to make some compromises, but you shouldn't have to make full on concessions for your being.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what's that like for you, um, being, a known stand-up comic when you are, and maybe you're not yet in that frame of mind yet currently, but in the past, like how have you contended with this dating when people know that you're a stand-up comic and they might, do the math of, well, you going to talk about us in your act? Like what? How
I
do you
haven't
deal with that?
I haven't dated like I was with my my now ex-fiance for 9 years.
Oh
And
wow, okay. So this is new
yeah,
ground then.
so and that's been my stand-up career, except for
Sure.
when I was brand new. Um, so I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, I
Sounds
have
like the next stand-up special. You'll have some answers.
I my ex-fiance wasn't always happy about being in my jokes, but what I would do is always try to make myself the bad guy. If
Right.
there wasn't anything
Punch
I
up.
made fun of about him, I always made it put it back on me. And I
Right.
only had about 3 jokes about him. Everything else was about my family, um, other stuff. And then my ex before that is a terrible human being. He actually tried to call me on Facebook the other day, and I was like,
Oh no.
"Why are you calling me?" And he goes,
Right.
"Bored, just
Oh my
calling all
God.
my exes." He's a terrible person
Wow.
and a total dumb dumb. Um, so
Sounds like you're being
and
kind.
yeah, no, I mean, and he did not he was in most of my shit back in the day because he just deserved it. So it's a different mentality. Like there was one that
Yeah.
I would talk about because he just like tried to ruin my life. And then there's one that I talk about as an appreciation for our relationship. Like I would never have the heart to bash my ex fiance on stage. He doesn't deserve that. So
Right.
I think whatever people give you is what they should expect to get. Like I have no reason to make him look bad on stage.
Right.
So, and in any relationship you get into, you have to tread um, carefully and be pretty vocal, I think, about what you're putting out there, um, just out of respect for them.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
personally, honestly, I I've come to peace with the fact that I may never be in a long-term relationship in the future, just because I've come to understand myself and so much, and I get so much from other relationships in my life, whether they're social or family and professional and otherwise, and I'm learning how to develop those much better. So I'm just left thinking, why do I need to like second guess and check in with someone on all these different things that I just take for granted in my life? I find I I'm confronting a difficulty in justifying that to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people, as artists, we need to do that. That was something that I talked with my, it's so weird to keep calling him my ex-fiance. What a strange. I know Taylor Tomlinson talked about that in her special Quarter Life
Oh, she's
Crisis, like
awesome.
ex-fiance, how it sounds like a spell, and she's right, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It's such a gross word to have to say,
Right.
ex-fiance.
Well, it sounds like
But
you're still in the process. So
but when even like during the breakup, um, that's what I told him. I was like, I won't be putting a lot of material out there on Instagram and stuff because obviously I'm working through this on
sure.
stage a lot and I don't want it to feel fresh and harsh for you. So I've been trying to really tread carefully, but also like whoever is with you, if you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker or a writer or an actor or
It's a
whatever type of
resource.
creative you are, yeah, we only know how to write based on our life
Right.
or how to react based on things that we've
Yeah.
experienced. So we have to use that. If we don't, what do we there's very few comics I know that are just able to make up genius stuff and like, there are some that can do that. I can't. I have to base mine on real life.
Yeah. Well, there's the autobiographical stuff, and then there's the observational stuff.
Right. Yep. And I'm autobiographically observational.
Best of both worlds.
um, but yeah, I mean, it's something that comes with the territory. I would be more nervous to date like a writer for a major magazine, like a columnist, than I would be to date a
Ooh.
stand-up comic because columns can get like really real and a little bit
Sure.
too
Right.
like exposure-y feeling, and stand-up
Right.
always leaves that question of, oh, was
Is
that
it an act?
inspired by this? Is it real? And so like, it doesn't feel as
Sure.
harsh unless you were to
Right.
literally be like, screw this person, but nobody really does comedy like that. I don't think.
That's amazing. Now, I've been told that you do yoga, or maybe it's just I was reading your IMDb, and literally you were in a production that you're known for called I Do Yoga. So I feel it'd be a
Oh,
little
it was a
remiss of me to not
music
like touch on
video.
the yoga in your life.
The funny thing is I shot that actually like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I did not do yoga ever at that point, and I was approached by this singer-songwriter. Basically they were this really, really talented musical duo that sings serious music.
Right.
And they wrote a random song that did not fit their repertoire called I Do Yoga. It was kind of chain smokery sounding, like,
Okay.
remember like Let Me Take a Selfie? It kind of was in that
Yeah.
vein. So they passed the song along to me and asked if I would shoot just this like crazy music video. And they didn't want to release the song, but they allowed me to submit the video and song into a bunch of festivals, and we won like a ton of festivals.
Oh, nice.
Um, so
Congratulations.
yeah, I brought in a bunch of other stand-up comedian girls, and we shot this like ridiculous music video. It's so funny. I think it's so funny to this day. And I didn't start doing yoga until like 2.5 years after that. So I like made fun of yoga, and then I fell in love with yoga.
Yeah, well, it's from your Instagram, you're getting results, and good for you. It's something to be proud of, because that's not easy. It's like all the other stuff. You got to put in the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always been very active, and I like to change my active, you know, thing. Like I've been doing
Mix
Muay
it
Thai
up.
for the past 5 years, and I started doing
Oh,
yoga to
nice.
balance that out because Muay Thai and martial arts is very like jarring, and
Sure.
I wanted something that kind of elongated and strengthened my tendons and like wasn't as abrasive.
Right.
And
Less impact.
yeah, yeah. So that's why I started yoga. And now I just like am in love with the community that I'm a part of in LA. Actually, both communities, my Muay Thai community and my yoga community. Like I'm really close with the people in both. Um, so yeah, I mean,
Very
it's
cool. Now, what
cool.
type of
Yeah,
yoga? 'Cause I've done. I've not done a lot of yoga, but I've done hot yoga, and then I guess the not hot yoga.
yeah,
I think if you're
yeah.
feeling, what do I know about yoga? That
So
statement.
the the type of I do moto. Moto yoga is like I guess each yoga facility has kind of their own
Spin on it.
type, yeah, type of like core values and stuff. So this one's very like community driven. It's hot yoga.
Okay.
Hot vinyasa flow is the base, but they also have
Maybe we
moto.
should share with the audience, for those who are not yoga conversant, what does hot yoga mean?
This one I don't actually know the temperature, to be honest. It's not Bikram. Bikram I think is like 120 degrees plus. Hot
Okay,
yoga
that's what I've done.
is like, I don't know. It's hot, but it's not like the holy shit, my lungs
Stifling.
are gonna collapse hot.
Okay.
Um, so it just kind of exacerbates like how you're training, I guess, without it
Mhm.
without being intolerable.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know the exact temperature. I'm not that much of like a junkie as far as like the actual, like I don't bring like scented water with me and dump it on my mat. Like I don't go to that level.
Yeah, you bring your
you
mat,
know.
not a thermometer and test tubes,
No,
or
I
a
mean,
pH balance test or anything.
with everything, I'm a balance of like get shit done and chill, and I'm the same with
Right.
yoga. Like I go for a workout and I like the time away like when I go there. when I go to do Muay Thai or martial arts or yoga, I don't take my phone or my purse or anything generally. I like to just have that time like away from stuff.
Right.
And and yeah, and then when I'm done, I'm done. you know?
Right. Plug back in.
But I just like feeling strong and capable, and it actually comes in so handy. Like I was staying with a friend in February, had to fly to New York, and got locked out of her place, and she had already left for the East Coast as well.
Oh
Um,
no.
so I had to have a neighbor of hers drive their car underneath her balcony, and I had to do like a full. When I'm talking a full body pull up, I'm like dangling with my
Wow.
elbows like
Right.
to the farthest extension that you can. Like my shoulders were unlocked and everything. I had to pull myself up. And if I hadn't trained all these years in the things I do, I would have been locked out and never made my flight. So I like messaged my
Wow.
gym afterwards and I was like, thanks for making me actually strong. It like isn't just
That-
about looking like
It's a
looking,
convenient life hack tool to have in your quiver, right?
yeah, it's not about looking good. It's just, I feel very functionally capable and I like that.
I think that resonates with a lot more of us right now in this current moment we're in, just a sense of our own, mortality and fragility and appreciation for, basic life survival skills that it's so easy
Yeah.
to take for granted, especially in, what we think are civilized societies, where you have a level of affluence. There's a lot of things that you take for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of times people are more concerned with doing things just to look a certain way. You should really be doing things to feel a certain way. You know,
Yeah, right.
it should be more about like what are you getting out of it that's bettering you as a person, not like are you going to look hot.
Yeah, right.
When it comes to what like makes you tick as far as and I think that's why a lot of people don't even like working out in general because it just feels so like, you know, feels more like a chore, but if you're getting something legit out of it, it doesn't feel like that. Like I feel so like awesome when I leave the Muay Thai gym.
There is a difference though. Or do you think there is, like, between men and women, especially in the entertainment industry, when it comes to, appearances versus doing things for something other than appearances, because there's such a high premium placed on appearance in our business. Uh, and it seems like there's some different standards. Like for me, I'm a guy and I don't feel, I'm of a certain age. I'm really grateful for the genes I have. I tend to apparently appear about 5 to 10 years younger based on how I'm cast. But you know, um, I'm definitely not in my 20s. I don't look like in my 20s. I don't have six pack abs. But
Yeah.
that doesn't really, I haven't seen that really damage what it is
it
that I am able to
it
do as an
doesn't.
entertainer.
No, I don't think
What's
it
your take
damages
on that?
it. I think it's starting to shift. I mean, I think on women it's much harsher about how you need to look, but it's shifted. I mean, look at some of our mega stars in the last number of years and all sorts of different body types, especially in
Right?
comedy. I
Yeah,
love working in comedy because it's the one piece of the industry that I don't feel you age out of. You only become more respected with age, man or woman. I mean, women do have a
yeah,
harder stigma in general,
yeah.
but I feel like most people just want to like feel healthy and like look decent to be in front of the camera. It's not about being a twig. Like nobody needs.
Sure.
You look at a Chelsea Handler and she's in great shape, but she looks age appropriate and she wears great
Yeah,
things for her age and she
yeah.
doesn't look like somebody who's trying to look like they're 22, And so
Right,
like
right. Exactly.
I love our industry for that and I love the fact that I'm able to just age gracefully and I don't feel um I just
Pressure.
yeah, I don't feel any sort of pressure like that. I was interviewed for Billboard magazine like a week ago.
Nice.
Should be coming out
Congratulations.
soon. And they asked if they could list my age, and I was like, yes, please. I don't care. I'm like, I openly talk about my age and I'm 35, and I'm fine with that because I've been in comedy for 15 years. Like,
It's
people would figure it out, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like
It's
not a
interesting you say
secret.
that because I don't. Are you SAG-AFTRA?
I'm a must join. I work I'm a must join.
Join. Come on in. The water's fine. We need you.
I
We
know now
desperately
I
need you.
actually probably should because
We
now I
we
need
really do.
the benefits.
Because our current president, she's really proud of the fact that she forced IMDb to stop listing the age, and I get the argument of that for my fellow
There's a
actors who are
stigma for certain things, but
sure, and I get that, but like is this the hill we want to die on? Like,
yeah, and also, I feel so much better physically and when I look in the mirror and the way I feel about who I am now than I did when I was 22. I wouldn't even want to be that age again, And so like I think it's such an empowering thing to age. I enjoy it.
absolutely, I agree completely. Now, tell us. I'm glad to hear what you're saying about being a woman in comedy because I still, I'll see the marquees at the Comedy Store, or Laugh Factory, or the Improv, and I see a bunch of dudes' names on it, and I'm thinking,
Mhm.
and it's a Thursday, or Friday, or Saturday, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of really funny women. Like, where the hell are they? Who the hell is booking these? And I know one of those places, definitely a dude, is the booker. So I don't know. I kind of,
Oh, we have our
it's weird.
conversations about this plenty, don't you worry.
It's weird, especially at a place like the Comedy Store. Not to say that that's the case there, but I mean, Mitzi Shore. That's the house that arguably Mitzi built. A
Mhm.
lady, and it just you'd think, there's such a rich heritage there to tap into, being very, female friendly, and I don't know, the
Yeah,
the
I mean,
very
here's
lazy
here's
observer might notice that, hey, maybe there's some room for improvement there. Who knows? What do
I mean, I think that's always going to be the case whether, you know, here's the way I look at it, and I've gotten flack for this from some of my girlfriends, but I've just never had a victim mentality. I don't feel like a victim. I unless I am being victimized,
right?
So I've never felt if somebody doesn't want to book me at their club, then I just go find a venue that will. I've produced so many of my own tours and created
Sure.
my enough of a following where I can do that. And that was my choice rather than sitting there and being like, oh, they won't book me. I have dealt with that shit from clubs for so long. There's a city in Florida where I keep getting requests to come and play, and the club there wouldn't wouldn't book me. They're pretty chauvinistic there. I wouldn't ever say that unless they
In
actually were,
Florida?
but I
That's shocking. Wow.
right.
It's hard to
And they
imagine.
were lowballing me, and they weren't willing to cover travel, which a lot of places aren't, but they weren't willing to like make it
Yeah,
worthwhile to travel. There was just so many
sure.
things I went through back and forth, and after a while, I was just like, you guys, let's shelf this for like 2 years, and then we can circle back when I have undeniable value to you. But like,
Mhm.
I mean, there's plenty of clubs I've dealt with that with. And some of the issue isn't even guy bookers. Some of it is women bookers judging other women. So
Interesting.
I've dealt with both. Um, Bottom line is no matter what or how people treat you, you have to find a way to get the things you want for yourself and make a way for those to happen. If you want to be on stage, then find your own venues and make your own stage. And the other thing would be still be fucking cool, because one day things shift and somebody might want to start booking you. And if you were an asshole, then they have no choice but to not book. Like I have
Yeah,
such a great rapport with. I never badmouth people, but I'll good mouth people. So I have such a great
sure.
rapport with the improvs. there's a guy named Cyrus who's worked for Levity for a long time. I've known him for a long time, and we have such a great relationship where I've had some shows with them that have gone amazing, and I've had other
Right.
ones that haven't had a great turnout, and we laugh about it, and and then we reassess like what shows I should do and where, and like we have
That's
an
cool.
honest open book conversation about it.
Right. Right.
And I wish
Seems healthy.
everybody would do that, because we know as comics that this is a business, or at least you should treat it like that. So if you
Right. Yeah.
cannot
Absolutely.
fill a comedy club, you cannot act like you can fill a comedy club. So
Right.
there's also that level of that. There's like 5 names in LA that can pack a room, and it's like Joe Rogan, Chris D'Elia,
Right.
Theo Vaughn. I mean, it's just numbers.
Right.
So I can't get mad at a club for not wanting to put me on a show with like 5 murderers that are going to fill a room,
Sure. Sure.
but I can get frustrated if I can't get a spot for like 5 months at a club that I am technically a regular at. So there are like frustrating things, but
Right.
we also live in a city that's full of so many comics. That's why I tour so much. I'm like, okay, if I can't get all the stage time in LA, then I'll spread it out between Chicago and New York.
Right.
And
Right.
then when I am in LA, I'll be working all the time. So I mean, rather than having a victim mentality about it, I'm like, okay, how do I see this as like a hurdle that I have to not even just jump over. I have to learn how to build my own track, you know?
Right.
Um so and and so that's why I don't even feel like it's that bad of an issue. And any clubs that I feel like have been an issue, I just don't really fuck with those clubs much, you know?
It is different when you are creating your own opportunities,
Yeah,
because then you literally are giving yourself more control. It can also be a lot scarier.
it
But
is for sure. I mean, you have to be very honest with yourself. When I've created a lot of my tours, I work out venue deals,
right.
and we have to figure out a way to co-promote it. You have a lot more promoting you have to do on your end, a lot
Sure.
of putting any sort of ego you may have, which I don't feel like I have an ego. I have confidence, but I don't operate off of
I'm not
ego.
detecting any ego.
But
You're Dean Martin easy, Natasha.
well, and like last year, me and Rachel O'Brien, we did a tour in Europe. This time last year, we were gearing up to leave. We did a European tour by ourselves, co-headlining for 3 weeks. And it was freaky because it's Europe. Like, how do we even know if we can draw an audience there? And guess we had to message people and send them links,
Right.
and like you have to put any sort of ego issues you may have way in your back pocket,
Right. Right.
and be humbled as fuck to be able to succeed in stuff like that. But it was one of the most rewarding tours I've ever done. We did every aspect of it ourselves, and then by the night that we were done in Paris, we were just like, we just did a Europe tour. Holy
That's
shit, you
amazing.
know? And then I
Nice.
got to do my armed forces tour at the end of the year, which was fully taken care of by somebody else. And a lot of that comes from them seeing the work and putting
That's so
putting
cool.
forth like the effort to make comedy happen in a space that's really unknown and scary for you. So yeah, I mean, making your own way is a big part of this business. But if you're okay with doing that and failing maybe a couple of times, you'll figure it out.
Right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Have you ever watched The Marvelous Miss Maisel?
Oh yeah. Yep. I'm up to date on that.
And what's your take on that?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's just a fantastic show. The rhythm of
I
it is amazing. I think it's so well cast.
I can't get enough of it.
And
I absolutely love it.
it's portrayed in this other era, but it's
Right?
so current with exactly what
Yes.
it's like in the comedy scene, not just for a woman, but for an up and comer.
A lot of
Not
inside
as far
baseball.
as not as far as her touring in the first year for a famous person, but that
Right.
might be true to that era. I feel like in that era, something like that would have happened if you were really good right away. Um,
Well, and they do
mm,
communicate, this known entertainer, her performance catches his eye, and then he literally pulls her into his tour. So,
Exactly.
if
So,
you
and
can
I
believe
feel like,
that, then that's
yeah,
it's
and
plausible.
I know a lot of comics that have been like, "Oh, that would never happen in a year," and I'm like, "Well, now there's like how many tens of thousands of working comedians?" I'm like, "Back then, you know, that was not the case." So,
Well, it'd be like a Bill Burr or Joe Rogan, grabbing someone, and
yeah,
making them
which
a
does
middle act.
happen for like
Yeah,
for people that are 2 years in and 3
yeah,
years in. Yeah, it happens all the time. So, um, and also I do this too when I watch something, I want to enjoy it even when I'm watching other people's comedy shows or comedy
right.
specials. Like, I'm not one of those comedians who's going to watch a comedy special of a peer of mine and try to hate it. I'm really
Oh,
not going to try to hate
yeah.
it. Like, what am I getting from that?
Right. Well, I
I
think
watch I watch people's specials to get an idea of what's being put out there, of different people's styles. Some
right,
specials I absolutely love. I loved Taylor's. I thought it was great. She's got a completely different style of comedy than I have. She's so young. Um, and she's fantastic. She's so talented. I've definitely watched other specials that I was like, well, maybe I won't finish this one.
right, right,
But
right.
I'm not, but I don't really like, I don't go out there with the intent to like hate people's work.
Well, I think a liberating thing for me is when I realized once that there are people that don't think Robin Williams is funny. Like I
Okay, well then
forget,
don't watch them.
yeah, but it was here's the thing, as I realized, holy crap, this is when he was still with us, and I
Yeah,
encountered someone, and they're like honestly sharing, like, yeah, I don't think Robin Williams is funny, and it's like I had an out of body experience, and I went, whoa, like Neo in the Matrix,
yeah,
and I realized
yeah,
Robin Williams is this legend, and so many people love and adore him. He has all this success, all this recognition, and yet this human being in reality right in front of me literally does not get it, does not appreciate it, doesn't want any of it. They will walk right past the
yeah,
Robin Williams, bucket in the buffet line. And I went, oh my God, even Robin Williams, he has this limited finite number of actual audience. And then I realized, oh my God, well, as an entertainer, all I need is whatever my audience is. And once I have that, that's enough. I don't need everybody. And that's such a liberating thought. And when you are in that place, I feel like, people can see it the way you've seen it. It's like these are just different flavors, people doing their thing. I do my thing. We can all win together. It's not a competition as much as people like to make it a competition.
yeah, yeah. And I know there's a lot of that comes into play when you're newer in any field because you feel less
Well,
stable
you feel
and less confident.
overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
don't have your legs.
I would be lying if I didn't feel like that at one point in my career or another, but
Oh, sure.
because I've had such, I've been working in the industry for so long and I've diversified my skills so much. Like, I never feel, and because I've been through so many yeses that turn to no's and no's that turn to yeses, like, I don't put all
Right.
of my eggs in one basket for anything. Like, I don't, people were calling me and checking on me after I said that Edinburgh was canceled and they were asking how I was doing. And I was like, listen, was I
Right.
looking forward to Edinburgh? Yes. But was it going to be a shit ton of work for the
Yeah.
next 5 months? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So part of me is like, oh my God, I get 5 months to work on some of this other shit that I was going to be stressed trying to do on top of Edinburgh. Like, I'm okay. Like, there's no,
Right.
there's
It's not a
the
tragedy.
timelines are all of these timelines, whether it's marriage or career stuff, they're unrealistic. Like,
Right.
there's no time any of this stuff has to actually be done. So, you know, for me, I'm like, you never know what thing is going to make or break you. You never know, and it's generally not the
That's
thing
for
that you think
sure.
it is, unless it's like you are given a Netflix special and it's your first one and you blow up. Like, there's a
Right.
couple things you might know might make you, but yeah, I mean, you just have to roll with it, like, for real. You have
I
to.
I get that. I mean, I'm in this weird space because I was in a former life ruled by a federal judge to be a celebrity. And that's why the case I brought against my college was dismissed. I was a student editor. They kicked me out, ended up on the FBI's subversive list. Yeah, I got some stuff to talk about for future specials, but um, this thing I've done with Lieutenant Frank, you know, it's not, a household name, but Tom Lennon, because it's loosely based on Lieutenant Jim Dangle and Reno 911, which is now back on Quibi apparently, or Quibbly, or whatever the hell that little short
Movie.
app
Yeah.
thing is. There you go. What you said. He's been really kind, and he's done a lot of generous things, with me, given my loose take on his character, and a few other things. Like I've yet to meet Bill Burr, but my Lieutenant Frank is part of the cover art for one of his Driving with Bill YouTube videos. So I'm just like, and how he reacts to the character in the video, I'm just like, this is amazing. I would never imagine that, and I still can't even believe that people think I look like Lieutenant Dangle, that I've done what I've done with that character, and I stand back and I'm just kind of like, is that even real? Like I don't get it. I'm
Yeah.
not even that big of a Reno 911 fan. I mean, I love Tom Lennon. He's an amazing person, one of the good guys in this town. But I just, it's like I enjoy it from time to time, but I'm not like drilling deep into it like I do with like Westworld or with a Marvelous Miss Maisel. It's just,
Right.
happens to be my preferences. But yet there's this thing, and I look like it's the most popular, Instagram I've got is for that character. It's just like, on a small scale, I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't get it, but I'm trusting the audience. They seem to dig this. So, okay. I could never, if you told me 10 years ago, that's what, I'd be looking at now, I'd laugh in your face and say, that's absurd.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
What for you is a Zen moment where you're just like, wow, this is happening that you could never have predicted in your career so far?
Oh my God. I have had so many of those. And,
I gotta mention Edinburgh is one.
yeah. You know, there's so much time that goes into building all this that you don't remember during it all
Oh
to like give
yeah,
yourself
right.
a pat on the back. And I actually
Right.
try to take time like every month to like think of all the things I've accomplished the month before or the couple months
Oh, that's
before
a
and be
good
like,
idea.
and I'm just like, Tosh, good job. You hustle your ass off, and that's why these things are happening because you just make them happen. But like,
Is that your nickname
um,
for yourself, Tosh?
yeah, everyone calls me Tosh. When I talk to myself, I call myself Tosh.
I
but
talk to myself too. That's kind of a healthy thing, isn't it?
yeah, sometimes I think I think there's definitely a line to be drawn. But I don't think I crossed that too bad. So um,
Fair enough.
thankfully, at least I'm not quarantined alone. Then it might have gotten way over that line. But
All right.
I've I've had a couple, and they've really all been because I remember when I had my first TV offer for stand up, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I never thought I'd be on TV doing stand up
Right.
when I started this, 6 years before it happened. And I was so excited about that. And that was for Fox. And then had a number of other ones after that for like mostly online with like Laugh Factory or Comedy
Right.
Juice or, just whatever other festivals. But I think the biggest like yay moment was when 5 years ago one of my pilots was selected for NBC Playground for the
Nice.
semifinals with another comedian, and we made it to the top 30 out of like 5,000 pilots. And so that opened up the doors
That's so
for
cool.
network. And
Right.
then the year following, I was on a holding deal with NBC Universal for like a year and a half, creating a slew of different potential shows. But this is the thing, like none of them ended up panning out, but like it kept these really rock solid relationships with some people that have moved on to be
Right.
executive producers other places.
Yeah.
And
Right.
now, the person I was on the direct holding deal with at NBC moved to his own production company, and he is like my best friend. I'm friends with his entire family.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it's like these real relationships that come. And
Yeah.
then, so that was a big thing because it just kind of legitimized how I felt. Like I felt like a full-fledged creator at that moment. I was like, okay, I can act and do stand-up, but I also can write, and somebody likes my ideas, you know?
Right.
And then shooting my special was a big one too. And that was something that I did all on my own and felt so amazing when I was done with that.
Good for you for doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. And
what I mean by that is for you taking the lead to, produce that, as well as like all the other stuff you've been doing over the last 6 years. Because not everybody in this business does that, and it's there's a lot of scary stuff around that, but it also there's a lot of rewards that you'll never receive unless you take that path. So like it's
Well, and that was a hard week in particular. I mean, we had called off our wedding. I had to, 3 weeks out, decide that I was going to do this. I announced it like exactly 3 weeks out, sold it out. I had to hustle to get the word out. I had to get my own PR from a local news. I decorated the venue with my parents that week before. My aunt, who would have been my wedding planner if I was actually getting married, she died from cancer. So there was this like weird silvery lining that like if I had actually gotten married, how terrible of a wedding day it would have been, because we would have like been so fucking sad. But instead it was this like moment of levity that a lot of my family needed. My family all came and they were like, they needed that. And it
healing process.
Yeah. And my dad got really, really sick with, we didn't know what was wrong. He was in the hospital for 3 weeks after that. So he went in the hospital on Father's Day, which was the day after I shot my special. And so it was like this mess of a couple of weeks. It was super fucking hard. And despite all that, it ended up being such a pleasant experience. My family was involved. They're like in the special. I got to do it how I wanted. My director flew out and he believed in me. That's the thing. I'm so appreciative when people believe in me. He split the funding with me, and
But you chose him.
Yeah, I mean, we worked
Yeah.
together for years. I was a volunteer PA on one of his movies after I got cast in this small part. I was like, can I keep working on your movie for free after I'm done shooting? And we became friends like 7 years ago.
That's so cool.
So, it's these ongoing relationships you're building. It just felt like such a real moment of return with this relationship that I'd had with this director, who's an amazing person. And also just felt like I conquered like this really tough time in my life and made something really cool out of it. And now it's fun to be on the phone with different, production and management and have people actually like wanting it. People really like, the special that I've been sending out to.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to release it. It's scary to do that.
You pulled a Richard Pryor. You took this painful thing out of your life that most people would have a tough time getting through, and not only are you getting through it, but then you're also creating this magnificent piece of art, and you're making yourself insanely vulnerable by having to go through all the pain of it.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of comedy legends come from, is from doing just that. So it's a really brave thing to do, not only as an artist but as a human being. So
it just
I want to
felt
see
good
it.
for me. It just felt like, it just felt like the right thing to do. It's like, it's not in my spirit to just let a day suck and have it be a money drain as well. And I was in this contract and I was like, it just makes sense to celebrate this. And like, now I'm building a platform based on that ideal. Like I want to be considered somebody who like celebrates harsh things in their life. Like not that you should like it, all the time, but I like that we can be open about it and like dance in the streets in our misery, you know?
Right.
You know, like I think it's okay.
Well, Natasha, I gotta say, one of my hot takes before we started this interview was, if I got stuck on a production, a film, we're shooting for a month somewhere at a location, I'm gonna have to spend 12 to 14-hour days with this group of people. If one of those people was you, my hot take was, I think I might end up being grateful that you know she's in the same production with me. And now after this interview, I'm feeling, yeah, I would definitely, because you know what I mean. When you get stuck in a production and you got to spend all this time in a confined space and
Yeah.
intense hours, intense conditions, it's like you need to be around people that you can crack a
Yes.
joke. They don't take themselves seriously, and
You need
'cause
to be
it's like,
around non-complainers. You need to be around people that are okay
yeah,
with cleaning up after themselves and like have common human decency,
right,
you know, and want to be friends with every piece of the crew and not just feel, you know, I've worked with all sorts of people and I've been on warm
retreat to
sets
the
and
trailer.
cold sets. One of the best sets I had ever been on was in Paul Shear's camp with like Keegan Michael Key and all those guys, like
Oh yeah,
just fucking great people. And they all work all the time because
that's good to
they're
hear.
great people. Like everybody hangs out together, whether you're a crew member or a lead or a recurring or a day player. Like nobody gives a shit. Like everyone's,
Yeah,
you know, and
that's so cool.
yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's how things should be. I mean, it's everything's a team effort. Same with how we were talking about with stand up and how it's not a competition. Like it really is a team effort. Everything,
Right.
you know, and as we're figuring that out with our world right now, this is a team effort too. Like if it's not a team effort, we're going to fail. So
Right. I
yeah,
mean, people being homeless and living on the streets, it actually has health ramifications, even if you live in a country club. We got to
yes,
look after each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of great things to come, you know, for me, for you, for everybody. I hope, I hope and I think we can all really crush this year despite what's happening.
I like to think we can. All I know is I'm really grateful I got to spend the last little bit getting to know you a little better here, Natasha, discovering.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Speaking of discovering, if the folks listening want to discover more of Natasha Pearl Hansen, is there any social media or websites or anything they should jump
Yes,
to find
absolutely.
out more about
So
you?
everything that I put out on social media or on the internet generally is on my Instagram stories. Um, so definitely follow my Instagram stories and my normal Instagram. That's all NPH Comedy, stands for Natasha Pearl Hansen, not Neil Patrick Harris, but you could follow him as well.
Have you ever met him?
I haven't, but it would be my dream to work alongside of him one day. It's just the co-NPHing would be amazing.
Right? I feel like that needs to happen.
I think it will. I've been putting the energy out there for years. So eventually it'll happen. I've just put it out there forever. And then my
Duly
podcast
noted.
is called Future Role Model. So that can be
I was just
followed.
listening to it last week. The
Thanks. I
photographer
appreciate.
friend of yours in
Yes. Yeah,
Chicago.
Todd. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so my podcast Instagram is at Future Role Model. And you can just
And you just cracked
Google.
100 episodes recently, didn't you?
Yes, I'm just about to hit my beginning of my third year.
Congratulations.
So it's great.
You've,
I just like
you've
what
done
we're
4
having.
more sets of 25 than I have, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
it's
learn a thing or
crazy
two
how
from
fast
you,
it goes by.
right?
My babies too. But yeah, just like what we're doing, I have really good conversations on there with people about like how they fuck up their lives and turn them around, and you know it's great. And then my website is nphcomedy.com, and
Okay.
/TIX is my ticket links for all my touring, which is pretty empty right now because everything just fell off, but it'll be starting
Well,
back up in August.
exactly.
And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the main 3 ways to follow me. Everything's NPH Comedy or Future
Awesome.
Role
We'll have
Model.
links too in the post for this episode at markromanempire.com. So
Sweet.
if you didn't catch it listening to, you just go to that page and you can click right through to all of Natasha's grooviness.
Yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me. And again, I just enjoy good conversation with good people. And so much appreciated. And now we're officially friends. We've had a conversation for an hour and a half.
Are we?
So.
Good. I'm glad. Well, you've got a lot of invaluable expertise. I might take you up on in a friendly manner to pick your brain on a few things.
Yeah, a lot of my brain can be purchased over beer. That's what I
Copy
tell
that.
people. There's nothing like a really good burger or steak and a beer won't like get out of,
Well, maybe we can do a Zoom, and then we can tap it locally here in Hollywood. There's an organization called the 90028.com. They started the Apocalypse Challenge for all the bartenders out of work. So basically, when you take a drink, it can even be from a glass of water, just any drink, you just send a Venmo tip to your favorite bartender, and then you nominate 3 of your friends to do the same thing.
Oh,
So,
that's cool. Will you send me
right?
that link
Yeah,
for that
absolutely.
whole thing? Because that sounds really cool. And I have a lot of friends in that world too, in the liquor world and bar world.
Right?
And it's all being affected. So
I
yeah,
know.
any way I can help support, and I always like to do that.
That's awesome. All right, Natasha, this was a lot of fun.
Yes,
I'm glad we
it
now
really
know each
was.
other.
Me too.
All right, we're looking forward to when you get to be back at Edinburgh and when the special drops. The name of your special again is?
It will be called I Was Supposed to Get Married Today.
Stay tuned. Isn't Natasha lovely? She's a performing beast as well. It was fun getting to know her a little, and she was also very kind and gracious to offer. So I look forward to professionally picking her brain as I eventually get my stand-up comedy game back in the saddle. Although, with all these Zoom comedy shows, I don't know. My buddy Sammy Obeid, he's been doing a pretty successful Zoom comedy show. I've been hearing rumors of some others. And this past Sunday, I debuted. This is on Facebook, personal Facebook. So if you were a Facebook friend of mine, you were privy to it. If you're not, we might roll this out on a different platform at some point. We shall see. But next Sunday, might bring it back for those of you who are friends of mine on the Facebook. What is it? The Most Holy Mark Roman Empire Church of Divine Touch. Yeah, we had an Easter service last Sunday. So I honestly I don't know what it's gonna all be about, but it's a thing. People are kind of digging it. So if you're already friends with me on the Facebook, I might have to schedule it around the farmers market. So last weekend we did 11 a.m. Pacific Standard. It might be 12 noon this time, because we're trying to reach those who have strayed from the path of the righteous, and those don't necessarily wake up early, if you know what I mean. Anyway, guys, if I sound out of sorts this week, it's because I want to throw this laptop out the window. My old laptop, which had a bunch of crap that was trapped in there, I just thought, what the hell? I tried to fire it back up again because the screen was broken. I couldn't even see it. And it worked. Oh, and I was so happy I was able to recover some data I desperately needed. But, I still got to fix it if I want to actually use it. Meanwhile, I've got this ridiculous, slow-ass grandpa laptop. I mean, it's getting the job done, but Jesus Christ on a popsicle stick. It's just killing me tonight how slow it is. I reboot it 17 times. It just, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Well, you know what? You can tip me, guys, okay? Because as you may have heard, the pandemic canceled my acting and busking income. So if you'd like more podcasts and you want me to maybe work on a laptop that is not slower than the IRS delivering our stimulus checks, please know that your Venmo, Cash App, or even PayPal is truly appreciated. And then maybe I can upgrade this damn laptop. I hesitate to even calling it that. Even a buck, guys, even a buck. It all adds up. MarkRomanEmpire.com, click tip jar. And if you're listening on SoundCloud, I know a lot of you do, there's a new link now to my Venmo in there as well. Look for the blue support Mark Roman Empire button on SoundCloud, or go to MarkRomanEmpire.com and click tip jar. Oh boy, guys, it's been a week. You know what? I going back and forth about the Jeff Bezos thing, because I get it. All right, he owns the Washington Post, and the minute the orange one goes after him, we were in this black and white binary, choice A, choice B. It can't be any more subtle than that world that we live in now. And we're all supposed to be team Jeff Bezos apparently. And it's difficult as a performer, as a SAG-AFTRA actor. Like, I enjoy a lot of great content. In moments, I'm going to be watching the latest season of Bosch. That's on Amazon. I love that show. The Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is just a dream and a delight, but it's also so inside baseball about stand-up comedy. Love that. That's also on Amazon. But here's the thing. Fact that you won't read about in the Washington Post is that some folks who work in the warehouses at Amazon, they've been trying to organize because, the pandemic, and it's not very safe in there. And I've heard apparently they got some new promo PSA videos out there. Jeff is, wandering like a bald angel through the warehouses in his little mask, pretending that, everything's okay. Acting like that Trader Joe's cashier the other day, who, when I said, hey, if I had to pay a few extra bucks for groceries so you could be a union worker, I'd be totally cool with that. And he just looked at me like a robot and went, I'm actually really happy, and Trader Joe's takes really good care of us, actually. So thank you, kind sir, but no union for me. Sure, he had no management watching him or anything, but I'm having difficulty with Jeff Bezos. I wish we could divide the company. The horrific way he treats his employees, and the Amazon that I will continue to use. I have to. We all use it to get our crap. Can we separate that from the lovely side of Amazon that has, the Hollywood part, the shows that I like? But, I don't know. My heart goes out to everyone who works in a warehouse at Amazon. I really wish they could have the opportunity to collectively bargain and to form a labor union. And it's disconcerting to discover that there have been racist attacks and smears of character and slander by Amazon against its employees when their employees choose to speak up and complain about working conditions, especially during the pandemic. So just, not to sound like Zorg in The Fifth Element, and why do I have to be the villain? Why am I Zorg? But, when I think of Jeff Bezos, I'm very disappointed. Anyway, that's just, I could go on and on that. I don't know. There's something about Maria that there's in a completely different direction and tone. There's something about Jeff Bezos, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. President Obama, appreciated you coming out this week. It was nice to be reminded what a president can sound like. Oprah, Ellen, George Clooney, Can you guys talk to Jeff Bezos, maybe? Because someone like me does, I'm going to get squashed. I already got squashed when I did that newspaper at Hillsdale College. I'm a subversive. I'm on the FBI subversive list. So I can't go against Jeff Bezos. But you guys, come on, Alan. I believe in you, Alan. You can do it. Any links to stuff mentioned on the show you can find at markromanempire.com. I want to thank all our listeners across the globe. We got a lot of new ones this week. I see you, Munich in the Germany, Ciudad del Este in Paraguay, Saskatoon in Canada, Cambridge. Yeah, wait for it. In the UK. And yes, I haven't forgotten you, America. San Antonio in the great nation of Texas. Are you a hero tier? We've been helping house Venka and Will since December 2019, and we've been helping creatives since St. Patrick's Eve 2020. We need 3,000 hero tiers to bring Venka and Will and their puppy, Andy, home. Leave no human outside. Also, only hero tiers can win cool prizes in the weekly Cards for Hero Tiers game on our YouTube channel, Mark Roman Empire on the YouTube. This Monday, watch Cards for Hero Tiers number 7. It's also going to tease the next episode of the podcast, which ideally drops on Wednesdays. And Monday, find out on Cards for Hero Tiers 7 who's going to win that cool photo shoot with Jason Wolfhook. It's $150 value. Who's going to win it? Hey, we found 45 hero tiers since December. Who's next? Whether you need help or you can offer help, or maybe you're just curious. That's cool. Visit herotier.org to discover more. And I know you guys know you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcast, but have you rated and reviewed the podcast on Apple Podcast? Because you can and you should. It helps, guys. It helps make the podcast grow. Let people know, yeah, this is cool to check out. And I want to appreciate everyone who's already done that. Okay. You can also hear the pod on the Mixcloud, Podbean, SoundCloud. I know we already mentioned that. Stitcher and TuneIn. As I mentioned, we are on YouTube where we have the podcast audio, in addition to interview rap teasers that we've done in the past, and lately our Cards for Hero Tiers videos. And it looks like, because I already have Podbean, I can get the what do you call it? What's the other one? Spotify. I can get that set up. I just need to go in and do it. Long list of things to do. I'm banging a few more out each week, guys. I hope you guys are seeing the progress here. Are you guys seeing the progress? I'm seeing the progress on my end. But on your end, maybe you're not. I don't know. But just know that I know that progress is being made. Does that help? I don't know. It sounds good to me. I don't know. MarkRomanEmpire.com. Click listen for all of those listening choices. To avoid missing out on cool stuff, join my mailing list. Have you guys done that yet? The Mark Roman Empire Census? Because sometimes we have special deals and perks for our podcast citizens. Each week, we have our Sermo Maximus, and you can win some cool stuff, but no one's done it yet. So do it, and then you can win. You can win like a $20 Mark Roman Empire gift card. That ain't shabby. This week's Sermo Maximus is Jason and the Argonauts. So check your email for this episode's census, and then you can enter in the line Sermo Maximus, Jason and the Argonauts, in the Sermo Maximus form. But that only do that if you want to win a cool prize. To be drawn on Monday, Cards for Hero Tiers 7. If you didn't get the email, become a citizen. That's how you get it. Go to markromanempire.com, click census. Twitter @TheMarkRoman. And that way you don't even have to be verified, okay, to follow me. It's cool. All right. There's more people who are not verified who follow me than who are verified. By the way, guys, I explained before, I've got this cool cover thing. And if you're listening, you're Mark, if you have the cover, why don't you use it to, I don't know, cover your microphone? Well, the thing is, I've got this audio issue where it's like picking up the volume really low. So I literally have to hold the mic like my laptop is the stand-up comedy audience that I'm speaking to from the stage, except the stage is me sitting in my office chair. So I got to fix the software in the computer because Windows is shitty. So I have to get a new thing so that the software works, and then I can stick this microphone in its lovely little stand I got, and then it'll be safely housed beneath the cover, and it won't be as, aesthetically pleasing from a visceral, I'm doing the thing stand-up comedy perspective, but it'll look cute on my cluttered desk, and hopefully all these weird audio quirks will be removed, which maybe you find them endearing. Maybe that's why you're listening, but it's probably not. So we're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to make it better. Trying to make a better podcast for you. I'm on Instagram, by the way, Mark Roman Empire for the podcast, and Vegas 90210 for Lieutenant Frank and the other characters. Email your questions to me at romanpodmail@gmail.com. It's literally been a month and I have not checked it. Am I now just like intentionally doing that? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's a long list of things to do. Maybe we'll actually get to it next week, and maybe there'll be this huge long list of mail that I haven't gotten to, and then I can finally get to it and bang them all out in a future episode. What do you guys think, huh? What do you think? What do you think? All right, guys. I feel pretty good here. I think we did a good episode. I'm getting this thing together. What can I tell you? Pretty happy. I hope you guys are too. If you guys dig the podcast, tell a friend, share it. Let's grow this. Let's grow it together, okay? And until next week, it takes a busker. So remember our fallen buskers: Clallan Monroe, Prince St. Paul, Christopher Dennis, and Alexander Desser. No fear, hero tier. I am the Mark Roman.